Welcome to Writer's Corner, the show where your work comes to life. Please welcome live on air, the Creative Writing Society.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Writer's Corner. My name's Oren, and joining me today is our guest Jonty.
Hello.
Danny and Jack, of course.
Hey.
Hello.
We've got some great pieces heading towards you. Sorry, excuse me. Who wants to go first, Jonty?
Oh, I couldn't take the pressure of going on first, but if you insist.
Excellent.
This story is Day 1, by me, of course. 2 planets, hitherto sharing an orbit around 90 million miles from the young sun, had been edging ever closer over the last epoch. They shared a mutual twirling dance while comets rained down upon their parched surfaces, peppering them both with holes and coating them in a thin film of water. Eventually, however, they got too close, and gravity pulled them inexorably towards a collision. Every atom of one planet tugging on every atom of the other one. They hit. Though the smaller of the 2 bodies crumbled first, the impact tore them both nearly to pieces, churning their centres to the surface and burying parts of their surfaces in the centre of the new merged planet. This planet, not like the 2 that came before it, was spinning rapidly, so that within mere hours it had shown its entire surface to the parent star. This was the first full rotation of the planet that beings on its surface would later decide to call the Earth. And though its rotation had slowed down a lot since those early days, this could still be said to be the first true day. The stately stone of the time machine, safely camouflaged as an asteroid, witnessed this from a considerable distance, far enough to avoid the red-hot debris from the collision, but near enough that the 2 witnesses aboard could observe the splendour with their own eyes, that of their home planet being born. One of them, a priest from 1592, and now in his 5th decade of life, was aghast. God had spoken to him throughout his time on Earth to tell him of how he'd sculpted the world, peopled it with life, given them the gift of free will, and thus allowed into it the first evil. But this glowing cinder that loomed in view of the observation deck was terrible, because it was something God had no answer for. It was not simply that it looked like hell, but the way its formation looked like an accident that troubled him. There had been no divine hand guiding the 2 spheres. The first day of creation was over. God should be separating the land from the sea by now, but instead, nothing. The other inhabitant on this craft, who, in spite of wearing men's clothes and having a man's name, was female, and knew nothing of God's ways. Her physics education had ended at A-level, but she knew enough about how the Earth was formed. She and the old priest had been debating this very fact until she had finally offered to take him back in the time machine to prove it. By now, though, she had made her point, and would have been about ready to put her hand on the man's shoulder to console him, as if to say, "Sorry about your God." But she didn't, though not through lack of compassion, but because she too was aghast. She, who had witnessed the Earth being born, something she'd only ever seen before in CGI reconstructions, was conflicted in her own way, because nothing could have prepared her for actually seeing it with her own eyes. And though she knew what would happen next, the tidal pools, the Great Ice Age, the Permian, she wished she could see it all, because there was something truly awe-inspiring about watching her entire world being forged from its raw materials. And more than that, it was almost divine. And all of a sudden, this crazy colonial priest didn't seem so crazy after all.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Speechless.
That was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Just a thought, sorry.
I know this is going to get hate from both atheists and religious people, so...
I think it's a very fair comparison of the 2, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I think it's
Thank
fairly
you very
balanced,
much.
to be fair.
Yeah.
What was the original idea for this? Like, did you just think about like the creation myth, or like the creation of the universe, and from 2 perspectives, and went from there? Or what was the motivation? Sorry.
Well, you were there, weren't you? Last creative writing session where Beth had written all these different time periods on the board in 3 different colours, and you had to choose one from each colour and write a character from one, a character from another, and the setting from a third one. And yeah, the ones I chose were 1630 something and the Naughties and Day 1, which then became the title of my story.
Okay, excellent. All right, Jack, you got something for us?
Yeah, carrying on this theme of Day 1, I was given this piece by my friend Jacob, and he studies theology, and you can probably tell from this piece.
Totally stole my idea.
It's very different from Jonty's. It's sort of a creation story again, but it's sort of from another perspective. It's